Hanks and his friends get caught up in a deadly game of fantasy.
I am the maze controller.
Until they take it too far.
I propose we play mazes and monsters in a real setting. It won't be a fantasy.
Too bad for one of them, because now there's no turning back.
This is only a game.
I know I killed somebody.
Mazes and monsters.
Can I ask you a question about this?
Yeah.
Did you like this one?
I was tuning in and out. You know, it wasn't my favorite, no.
It's amazing how when you hear about this movie, because this is the first time I've seen it. Is it the first time you've seen it?
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be really like over the top, trashy 80s fun, bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, I'd say there is a little bit at the beginning and a little bit at the end, and the middle is a whole lot of car rides and long pauses.
It's so boring. All that middle. Yeah, you're right. It's like, well, that's why I said it. Maybe we should start, but.
Well, we've started. That's fine.
Oh, okay. Fine.
Yeah, because you're listening to Network Special, the podcast where we talk about things played on TV that was only made to be played once. And Nathan, is somebody knocking at your door?
That was me knocking on the desk.
Oh, okay. Who's that? It's our sponsor from HelloFresh. So we're talking about, as we've said, maybe, I can't remember. We're talking about a 1982 movie called Mazes and Monsters, starring a 26-year-old Tom Hanks, fresh off of Bosom Buddies in his first leading man role, in a role that I guess you could call dramatic.
Yes, and there is some dispute on the internet about whether or not this is his first.
Oh, okay.
There is some other movie that he was in. It's a horror movie, like, which seems to be everyone's first featured film.
Yeah, easy to get.
Yeah. There's some horror movie. It's called like "Don't Go There" or something like that. It's something like that.
Please let it be called that. Well, I'm gonna look. Okay, let me go to good old IMDb. Is this from IMDb or is this just some lunatic?
A few times I've looked at it and it said, like, for somewhere I saw that this was his first movie, but then, the Mazes and Monsters was his first movie, and then I went somewhere else and it was like, no, it's called He Knows You're Alone.
He Knows You're Alone.
What did
I say?
Is
this
say?
a Santa Claus movie? Don't go there.
Yeah, 1980. He Knows You're Alone. Yeah.
A serial killer movie, and I'm assuming he's way down there in the cast list. Oh, he's not even. You have to go to see full cast to see where he is.
He plays Elliot, the character Elliot.
Okay.
So maybe Mazes and Monsters is his first kind of partly co-lead role or something.
Or maybe he's the comic relief. And He Knows You're Alone.
Yeah.
No, definitely not in this.
No.
It looks like they are telling him to be as unfunny as possible in this movie.
He if you are a fan of the Tom Hanks yell, you get to see a lot of it in this.
Or Tom Hanks trying out crying for the first time.
Oh my gosh. Was that the first time he ever cried in his whole life?
He really does the Dawson's Creek like meme.
Yes.
Goofy face cry where he scrunches it all up. He kind of looks like when you put eyes on your chin and you turn your head upside down.
Yes.
So Mazes and Monsters, the reason I thought this would be more fun than it wound up being is because this is an infamous movie in some circles because it's supposed to be talking about the dangers of playing Dungeons and Dragons. Did you just burp into the microphone?
No, I
That's
yawned.
How casual this is. Okay.
I yawned and air pushed through my tongue and made that sound. It wasn't a burp.
Right. I guess I yawn a lot after dinner. Those noisy, brappy yawns.
It was one of those, yawns that come right from your stomach.
Means you're really tired.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be a movie about the dangers of playing Dungeons and Dragons. But I would say if that's what they intended, it kind of doesn't come across that way. We can debate that later, I guess, when we're done talking about the movie. But and now you're falling over. You're so tired.
This microphone is the most sensitive microphone in the world. I'm just barely moving.
Do you mean if you burp into it and then fall over, it picks it up?
Yeah.
Picks up everything.
Yeah, I know. I got to get a worse microphone.
So should we start with what this is all based on?
Yeah, so part of the interest in this movie, or what makes it even more interesting, it's kind of they don't say this is based on loosely based on a true story or anything.
They do not.
They do not. But the book was written in response to the story of this 16-year-old boy who goes to college named James Dallas Egbert III.
Who sounds like a rich kid in a Meatballs movie.
Yes.
But it's not that. This story is somehow funnier than a Meatballs movie.
So he's depressed. He wants to kill himself. So
he's in college at age 16.
Right.
He's incredibly brilliant.
Yeah. Not as smart as Doogie Howser, but a couple years behind him.
Right.
And so there's these tunnels underneath the college that he goes to, and all of the kids would hang out there and, I don't know, smoke pot or whatever they do. Whatever kids do these days. And
these days meaning 1979.
Yeah, those days. And
Nathan is 105 years old.
Yes. What?
That's why he has this old tube microphone that picks up everything in the room.
They use this microphone to test for alien language.
Yeah.
It was developed by Carl Sagan. So anyways, he goes to the tunnels and he's going to kill himself. He fails because he's a loser. And he ends up just running away and hiding at a friend's house. Family can't find him, so they hire this private detective to find him. He finds out that sometimes the kids would go down there and play Dungeons and Dragons, and so he tells the media that may have something to do with it. Of course, the media only hears that part of it and creates a huge stir about Dungeons and Dragons and how it will cause your kids to commit suicide or something. And then in response, mothers around the world form, organizations to stop this. And
well, did you know the name of the organization?
Bad, right?
It is the greatest name. It is Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons. BADD. Yes. Bad. So yes. Good.
Was it based in Australia or?
I think she was from Australia.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that's very kind of English, or the word bothered. It's like if Winnie the Pooh made this.
My mistake. I thought it was. There's something other Australian. No, this is a Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
Patricia Poling started Bothered About Dungeons and Dragons. I want to say after her son committed suicide, who seems to have had a incredibly troubled life, and also he played Dungeons and Dragons. So she got mad about that.
Yeah. So instead of, figuring out where she went wrong, it was the one thing that she saw in his bedroom and blamed it on that. But so
she has a wonderful quote where she told a reporter that, did you read this?
Maybe.
She said by her estimate, 4% of adults and 4% of teenagers were involved with Satanism, which means 8%. And the reporter said, actually, that means 4%. And she said, it doesn't matter because it's a conservative figure anyway.
Yeah.
What a great comeback. She could have been president.
I know, God. I know. I mean, yeah. Can you imagine the look on the journalist's face?
What do you say to that? You don't say anything. You can't.
I know, you've lost.
You look at the audience and you say, I can't make this stuff up, folks.
Well, so what was the? There was another great quote from two people who wrote a book, two pastors in 1987. They wrote a book called "The Catechism of the New Age: A Response to Dungeons and Dragons," and they wrote that role-playing allowed too much freedom, which the authors regard as a gateway to critical thinking, which in turn may result in heretical thought.
At least they're open about it.
Yeah. They must hate Common Core.
That's a deep cut.
Yes. So anyways, the kid ends up working on an oil tanker in Louisiana or something. This Egbert, and he comes back home. The PI agrees to not tell what really happened, that he just ran away, and he comes back home, and then he ends up succeeding in killing himself.
And what was the reason why he didn't want to announce that he was fine? Just privacy? I
think so. I can't remember. I don't know if he said why. He just didn't want. I don't know if it was in that Wikipedia entry or not for him. But I don't know. That's when you're that level of depressed that you're willing to run away and do all that kind of stuff. I guess you don't want a bunch of reporters at your house when you get home.
I suppose that's true, but I mean, I guess there was such a furor. This was a worldwide story. This was not just like a local interest thing, because for a lot of people, this was the first time they had ever heard of role-playing games or Dungeons and Dragons, which was kind of the realm of people who were very into technical games at that point, which is not a giant swath of the population. But suddenly it was this thing that was going to brainwash you simply through playing a game, which, I mean, is a romantic idea, but...
It was a complete mess.
We can agree on that.
Yeah. This is all like... This isn't just about the game. This is also a time period where the Satanic Panic is kind of really starting to take hold, which was an era where everyone was worried that Satanists were multiplying and everyone was going to be touched by Satanism in some way.
Yes.
So anything was toys and games and TV, everything was a problem.
So Rona Jaffe writes a novel, which is kind of odd for her because she was mainly known for like a columnist at Cosmopolitan and kind of doing these Sex and the City style articles. And she writes a novel very loosely based on this experience, but it gives the case even more notoriety. And she kind of comes to the conclusion that playing this game can make you, by all accounts, a schizophrenic who can't discern between playing the game and playing a character to acting as that thing in real life.
And she wrote this book like in a couple days because she was worried someone else was going to write the book.
That she may not have been wrong.
I know.
Now, by that logic, you could say that people who are in plays or movies should be mental cases living in psych wards. But
right.
This game was new, so people kind of latched onto it.
I mean, there's no difference between this and kids playing cops and robbers or anything. It's the exact same thing, except someone died who played it. that's right. that's the only link that someone was able to make that doesn't even hold up anyways.
So that brings us to 1982, and this premiered on what network? I'm looking. CBS. December 28th, just in time for New Year's. Mm-hmm. I can't tell if that was a big ratings time or that is you burying a movie. It is directed by Stephen H. Stern.
Yes.
Who has a great IMDb photo. He looks like a real scuzzball.
And he is the director of a lot of stuff we're going to be watching.
Oh, good Lord. He has 63 credits, and I'd say 60 of them are TV movies.
And they're great. Not Quite Human, which I love.
Yep. Still the Beaver.
Yeah. Yes. The Greg Louganis story, The Park Is Mine, Sister. There's all kinds of great stuff. But yes, he's great.
And of course, The Devil and Max Devlin.
Yes. Which we won't be watching for this, but we'll be watching in life.
It is, of course, where Bill Cosby, playing to type, plays the devil.
Yes. This one thing I also wanted to mention that I forgot to mention about the PI who, in this original James Dallas Egbert story, he also, to show you where his credibility lies, is not so he investigated this, but he also wrote a book called OJ is Guilty but Not of Murder.
Oh.
Yes.
He was just guilty of being a great ball player?
I guess so.
Number one dad?
I actually have a DVD called this by the same title. I have not watched it. I found it at the thrift store. And he also wrote another book. It's something like OJ is innocent. I can prove it. It's like this big long line. It's like the real history, the real story of the Ron Goldman, Nicole Simpson murders.
Wow. Okay, I'm looking up this book right now. I'm sure it's self-published, right?
The guy's name is William Dean, I think.
Deere.
William Deere. Yeah.
But I want to know if this has a cover that was not designed by anybody but William Deere.
JJ!
Hey!
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine.
Good. Have you seen Daniel?
Oh, I took it for granted he was up locked in some room with his latest woman of the week. I don't know.
Do we have a fourth player?
Well, I've typed up the notice, so I'm going to put it up in the bulletin board, okay?
Great, let's go.
This movie is much like Bad Ronald. It looks like everything was shot in brown. It's very dark. If you're a fan of papier-mâché cave, if you're a fan of one cave set that you see every inch of for long minutes at a time, you're going to love this movie.
Yeah. Also, if you're a fan of just a movie just laying it all out right away.
I will say one thing, not ambiguous. Everybody in this movie, you know who they are and what they're thinking at all times, because they'll walk into a scene and say, hey, I'm your father, and I may love to work a little too much, but you're my son, and you're going to college because you've been screwing up. I'm going to drive you. Here we go. I'm your dad.
End scene. There is a blooper reel where someone actually just said that. Oh, sorry.
That was only a slight exaggeration. Would you agree?
No, that's exactly it. It literally opens with a news reporter, basically just laying out the plot of the moral of the movie.
Yes.
In his report.
This has kind of like a Shakespearean wraparound where a Greek chorus of this news reporter, everybody looks like they're dressed from the 50s. Everyone has a trench coat and a little fedora hat. Yeah, he tells you the plot of the movie you're about to see, and what you should think about it.
he says yes, because he says it's a Mazes and Monsters game got a little out of hand. It's seemingly innocent, but there are invented terrors within the game. It kind of plays out like in psychodrama, where the kids act out their problems in life, and you might be killed if you play it. It's almost word for word what he says.
It also makes me realize just now what a good name Dungeons and Dragons is, because Mazes and Monsters is such a terrible title for a game.
It just sounds so bad. Mazes.
Maybe 2 M's always sounds a little dopey. One thing that this movie knows, as you are introduced to our 4 lead characters, is you want your characters to be relatable to the audience. So you should make every single character super, super rich.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
All these children are the children of billionaires.
Yes, but for some reason they can't get into an Ivy League school. They're all
No, they do. Tom Hanks got kicked out of his last school.
That's right. So this is still an Ivy League school? He gets kicked out of the old one and gets sent to a new one?
That's right.
Okay. Man, they are rich.
They are very rich. We're not first shown Tom Hanks. We are shown...
We're shown the what is really the Egbert character.
Yes.
Who's a 16-year-old kid.
Daniel, who I did not realize was supposed to be 16 until somebody halfway through said he's only 16.
Yes.
And I said out loud to nobody in my room, he's 16? Because he's a rough looking 16.
Well, I was wondering about that too, because so everyone's bringing bottles of wine to a party at his house, and I'm like, so all these 21-year-olds are hanging out with this 16-year-old kid?
Yeah, well, I think that, he doesn't have friends besides the parties he throws.
Right.
And
he the first time we see him, he's wearing some kind of Nazi military helmet.
He's wearing a World War I Kaiser helmet with a big spike. This kid loves hats.
That's his thing. He's just a different hat every time you see him.
And I think you're supposed to think that he is eccentric, but I think now it reads as autistic.
Yeah, maybe. He has a bird named Merlin that he's taught how to say things like birds can't talk.
Yeah.
And poor JJ.
Yeah. If They Might Be Giants had been around when this was filmed, he would have been very into They Might Be Giants. Mm-hmm. He's that style of kid.
Certainly they were around then, weren't they?
82? Not yet.
Okay.
You're not going to get me with that one, Nathan.
Sorry, I didn't know I was speaking to an expert. The president of the fan club.
There is a running gag that we're introduced to very quickly that does not pay off in a plot at all, and I don't understand why they included it. But Daniel's mother, who is also an eccentric, apparently redecorates his room.
Yes.
With a high-end designer. And so he walks into the room and his room looks like a sterile lab. Everything is painted white.
Yes. Except for the wallpaper, which is like a checkerboard but just the lines, like a crosshatch or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and he's very upset. Yeah, his mom's like a modern interior designer. Like she probably also would have made something that looked like the Beetlejuice house at some point in your life.
It's the Beetlejuice mom. Yes.
Yeah. And he's pissed about that.
Right. We meet JJ, who is a good-looking Aryan race guy.
No, that's Daniel.
Oh.
JJ is the kid. That's right. Daniel is the game designer, like you said, the Aryan guy. JJ is the kid.
I'm so sorry. Everyone must have been screaming
Oh, yeah.
at their devices.
Mm-hmm. That's what all those sounds were in my microphone.
Daniel is also from a rich pedigree. Looks like an Aryan brother. His parents are mad at him because he wants to be a video game designer, and they want him to design bombs or something.
For the military-industrial complex. And he's like, I just want to play some Mazes and Monsters.
And then we meet Kate, who we know she's not happy about her father leaving home. She's had a string of bad boyfriends. We know all of this, and I'm sure of all of this, again, because she tells us very directly what has happened.
I love that they show how bad the parents are. But yeah, it's the game that's the problem.
Right.
They're setting you up like this movie is setting you up to think that obviously the game isn't the issue until it then says the game is the issue.
They go to college. They're already friends, right? Yes, they're already friends.
And then because they're looking for a fourth player for the Monsters and Mazes. So all three of them are already current friends, and they all hang out at Bridget Bardot birthday parties and all kinds of weird stuff.
This movie is also true to life in the fact that one thing about role-playing fanatics, they are all extremely attractive and incredibly wealthy. They also seem like, I think they talk about how they don't feel close to anybody. They're ostracized. They seem very socially adjusted.
I know.
They seem to have a ton of friends.
Well, and Tom, right, that party's massive. And Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I've been to sad college parties. They are not wall to wall with people dancing the night away.
And Tom Hanks is like, before everything goes down, he's, you know, in this romantic relationship with one of the other people, and he's like a competent lover.
Right?
But you know what I mean? Like, he's like these are all just normal kids who are corrupted by this evil game.
Here's I should say, I guess, that they meet Tom Hanks. JJ meets Tom Hanks. He comes on like a real creep. Tom Hanks very understandably says, I don't want to play Mazes and Monsters with you.
With you freaks. But he did promise his mom that he wasn't going to play the game.
Right. Then he just starts playing the game anyway. When they play the game, everything seems pretty blasé. Like they're playing a game. There's some candles lit, so I guess there's some atmosphere.
Well, the room was definitely designed by Satan. No question.
Because of the candles?
Yes. I mean, no human being would have that many candles in a tiny room.
Is his father not heir to the Yankee Candle fortune?
Oh.
Thank God I have this IMDb open.
Have you played D&D?
Only very recently. Somebody invited me to play for a couple like rounds, or a campaign, I guess it's called. Yeah. I'd never played before that. And the reason I agreed to it is because the person who was leading it, I knew would not be a stickler. Like they wouldn't be down to like grind battles or whatever. It was going to be more story based. Yeah, a little bit more loose. So, I mean, it's kind of easy. Easy in the fact that you make stuff up and it's improv, basically. You're just kind of going along with the situation and finding your way out of it.
Yeah, this is the first, I played it this year for the first time too. And same thing, like I was worried that I would get in there and then I would say something funny or something, and people would be pissed, or whatever. Like,
like they wouldn't like that.
Yeah, they would be like, why aren't you talking in your accent or whatever?
Your Elizabethan pentameter, right?
So, but no, I think and this is probably a testament to both of our, dungeon masters or maze controllers, as they're called in the movie. That they allow for whatever happens. Like, I didn't realize that it is really just whatever you want to do, they will let you do.
Yes, it is totally open to improv or imagination. At least the version I was playing was.
Yeah. Like someone would say a funny joke thing to do and he would roll for it,
right.
And then something would happen potentially. It was just like, it was fun. It was fun. And of course I was playing with other people who also were new to it. So I think this guy was being very generous with us, but it was fun. I haven't played again, but I want to. It's like a work thing.
But now you've rejected God.
I know, that's my biggest fear.
You love the dungeon too much.
I know.
I was also playing mostly with comedians, so everyone was on the same page with that kind of. It's supposed to be a game where you have fun with your friends. Right. I understand why it's so popular. I also understand that if you're a person who takes things very seriously, this game would be intolerable.
I know. I just it's just the worst like nightmare of like hanging out with like theater geeks or something where there's just like constant taking this seriously, or
theater geeks or fuss budget, I guess was more my fear.
Yeah. I feel like the people I know who play probably all. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there isn't like maybe everyone does play just and has fun this way. Maybe there aren't like a lot of people who are like, why aren't you, like I said, why aren't you talking in your accent? Or
You think it's more we are talking about something that we have learned from sitcoms.
yeah. I don't know. I feel like people do, I don't know. I actually don't know. I've only played once. What do I know?
I don't know, Nate.
I finished.
Oh boy. So where are we on this turn? Well, here's the thing. I feel like we have stuff to say about the beginning. Truly, the middle is nothing.
It's
so we can get all our conversation out about the first 30 minutes of this movie.
This movie, I was telling you last night, it's like a love story wrapped in a moral panic, like a story about moral panic. Like it's like most of the movie is kind of about so Tom Hanks' character starts dating the girl character in this, and so a big portion of it is them like hanging out, and then
it's a literal like Naked Gun style montage of them running in the park, having dinner, laughing.
Why did you go to Naked Gun? It's the reference from the montage.
I couldn't think of a genuine romantic montage. No, you're right. There's nothing where like there's nothing wacky that happens. What is a movie with like a very serious romantic montage?
I mean,
I can't think of any.
Probably any romantic comedy you could find where people are just, they're exercising together and they're eating, just whatever. Just that kind of montage of stuff.
Oh yeah, that famous scene in Notting Hill where they're exercising together.
They're stretching. Well, and then they even talk about like even the JJ, like you can tell he's kind of jealous of
their relationship.
And then Daniel is really jealous because eventually when Tom Hanks breaks up with her, Daniel starts to get sweet on her. And he even, like, remember they even have that little thing where he's, like, Daniel is supposed to be, like, he's got a reputation for just, for being, quote, a make-out champion.
I love that term. So delicate.
And, like, he's supposed to be, like, this. And then, and then the girl realizes, oh, no, you are really a gentleman or whatever. This is such a weird freaking movie.
Maybe I should smash my motorbike into the dorm wall. It's too ordinary. They think it was just an accident. You know that no Grant University student has ever committed suicide? What can I do? There's gotta be this stuff that legends are made of. I want them to remember J.J. Brockway. I know. The caverns.
Well, that's the thing is that it feels like there's so little Mazes and Monsters playing, because what we really find out is this movie is warning you on the danger of not going into caves.
Yeah, I know. There's a whole thing about, is this even legal what we're doing?
Because eventually JJ is upset that he feels that the group is disbanding, so he decides he's going to commit suicide. But then, after he talks it over with his bird, he decides not to commit suicide. He decides that he is going to create the ultimate Mazes and Monsters experience. So he starts cashing in all his favor chips. Mm-hmm. He borrows a skeleton from the science lab. Mm-hmm. He borrows a bunch of costumes from the theater kids. He does something else. I can't quite remember.
I think those are the two things.
Those are the two things. Okay.
And he ends up, like, to get this going, they're playing their regular Mazes and Monster game, and he kills himself, his character, in the game, which kind of prompts everyone to say, oh no, now we can't continue this game. And then he's like, well, what if I could show you the ultimate game?
And let me ask you, whenever his character died in the Mazes and Monsters game, did you assume, oh, this is where he's going to have his psychotic break? He's dead now, I have to die kind of thing?
Well, I knew that Tom Hanks was the one that breaks down.
But if you didn't know that, wouldn't you assume that's where the script is going? Because JJ is set up as the sympathetic character who is frail.
And he's already talking about suicide. And so, yeah, of course, he's going to be the one that's going to Like, or he's going to do like what I would have assumed is that he's going to end up killing these kids somehow on accident.
Do you think that there was an original draft where that's what happened in the book, and then she realized I could get sued by the family?
No, I think what happened is maybe they filmed an alternate thing with Chris Makepeace and thought Tom Hanks is really a better actor. Or something. I don't know.
Oh, you think this is like a Back to the Future situation where it's like Eric Stoltz for a couple days and they're like, oh, brother, this guy is not going to do it.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. But it does feel weird because it is setting you up for JJ because he's the main guy of the whole thing until Tom Hanks shows up. Then all of a sudden now he's the lead.
Yes.
It is so weird.
It's very strange.
So maybe there's two. This is like two versions of a script put together.
The only thing that tips you that Tom Hanks may have any kind of frailty, because he does not act as though he is on the edge. You have no clues that anything is wrong with him. At one point, he tells Kate while they're dating in a story that I thought was going to go in like a Gremlins direction, that on Halloween night, his little brother disappeared.
Right.
And he doesn't know where he is, and he never forgave him for it, and he's worried about it. He has like abandonment issues because of it. But he
dreams about him every night.
He dreams about him, but he doesn't seem broken by it. He just seems as upset as you would be when you were young and had that happen to you.
No, when he eventually snaps, which we'll get to here, there is no. It's like when Anakin decides to become Darth Vader or whatever. It's just like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Like it's like an instant.
It's really he turns on a real dime because they go to these. What's the name of these stupid caves that they go to?
Oh, Pequod. The Pequod Caverns.
Caverns.
I looked it up to see if it was a real place, and every time I looked up Pequod Caverns, it was just for links about this movie.
Okay, so I'm assuming no.
No.
They go to these caverns, which are supposedly pretty windy and twisty, but they go on for a while. And he says, we're going to play live action Mazes and Monsters down here, which doesn't seem to include them rolling a dice or consulting a guidebook or anything. It's just him yelling out directions like,
it's a treasure hunt.
Keep going.
Yeah. You're
now
hot.
There's a monster.
No, you're really hot. You're ice cold. And by the way, how is he doing that? He doesn't have a...
There's no way he could see where they are.
And he doesn't have a megaphone or anything, does he?
I think you're supposed to believe that he's somewhere in the cavern that really throws your voice around. Yeah. I am giving this movie a lot of credit for that.
I'll tell you what, though. That sounds freaking fun, though. Like, what was going on? Like, I was thinking, like, I want to play that freaking game. I want to go in those caves, and I want to search for treasure, right. And I want to fight a lizard monster. Yes,
and one comes out straight off the set of Star Trek. He, for some reason, JJ announces, now there's a monster. And Tom Hanks, who is on his own, sees a real monster. Oh, that was a big burp. He sees a real monster coming out of the caves. I assumed that JJ took a monster costume from the theater company, and when Tom Hanks stabs the monster, he would kill or hurt JJ.
Yeah, I thought it was I thought there was another person in there.
But it's not. He's hallucinating. Tom Hanks has, for no reason, had a complete mental break from reality to where he is seeing real monsters in front of him.
Mm-hmm. And then from that point on, he believes that he is his character, a holy priest. Level 9, ninth level.
What's his name? Guy Bob Threepwood or something?
Pardue.
Pardue.
Pardue or Pardue or something.
Oh, Robbie, you were great. I just thought I was going to have a coronary occlusion or something. It was
JJ,
great.
that place is incredible. I was so scared. I love it.
Great, JJ, really.
What's wrong?
I'm a holy man. I never kill unless I cannot overcome the monster with reason or spells. I've got these to compensate for my lack of warlike skills.
Knock it off, So
then they leave, and he's he keeps telling everyone, bless you. And like he blesses everyone, and they're like, they like think he's doing a gag, like he's doing a bit, like, okay, we get it, you're still the character, but he like does it forever. Like he just keeps doing it, and the girl is worried. He eventually has this dream where he's told by this great, powerful person named Hall, which is also the name of his brother, that he needs to be celibate.
Great nightmare sequence where we are treated to the inside of a vacuum cleaner tube with Tom Hanks looking down one end of it.
Yeah, it's like the James Bond or the 007 like gun hole. But yeah,
yes.
But you're right, it is a vacuum tube instead.
Unlike a Michel Gondry level production.
And yeah, he's just, he's getting imagery about two towers, and there's all this kind of weird stuff. So all of this leads to him just having a complete breakdown and thinking he has to go and kill himself.
And we should also mention, when we say all this goes on, what we mean is 30 to 45 minutes of characters driving around aimlessly talking about how they're concerned about Tom Hanks, another Halloween party where nothing happens, dream sequences where nothing happens, people walking around the cave where nothing happens. Did you notice the Darth Vader mask in that party scene?
Oh, no.
I have a theory that in every movie shot between 1978 and 1985, there is going to be an illegal Star Wars character somewhere in a Halloween party scene.
Probably, yeah. There's a quote in here when Pardue has this dream.
Mm-hmm.
He says to him, I think Pardue says to this almighty character that he's been getting dreams from, he says, I love you and I want you to forgive me. Which, like, when I heard that, I probably thought that was probably super chilling for any Christian moms watching this.
Huh.
Like he's it's not Jesus that he wants forgiveness from. It's this Dungeons and Dragons character.
Yeah, I'm sure that was a pull quote for a couple great focus on the family articles at some point.
Are you? Who are you? I am the Great Hall. Once you gloried in killing, now you are of a higher level.
And then JJ stops wearing hats for like a couple scenes.
Really? He drops the hat? That's how it's the serious part of the movie.
He gives up the hats a couple times, and then they go back into the caves and he's back on. He's got like a, I don't know what, like a boat hat, like one of those like tweed boat hats. Whatever.
Tweed boat. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure you're right.
I'm trying to think of like a movie character who wears them, but like they wear like a brown jacket with the brown patches on the elbows, and then they're...
Do you mean like more like a newsy cap?
No, it's like it goes down like about near your ears. Anyways, this is not worth this direction.
Okay.
And then like what's great is everyone's like worried about him. Robbie is Tom Hanks' name. I've been trying to think of it this whole time. Everyone's worried about Robbie, and like did he like kill himself? Like did he run away? And all JJ can think is, do you think Robbie was involved in another game? he's so concerned about losing his role as maze controller.
Yeah, a better movie would have kind of gone in that direction. Not our boy.
Well, I kept thinking that, like, so all these kids, like, they use their game skills to figure out what's going on with Robbie, where he is, like how to find him. They solve all these clues, and I'm thinking like that's the movie. There's all these kids who play this game, and then now they're using the game to solve a problem in real life.
You mean the fun version of this movie?
Yeah, a good version of this movie.
I see. Because instead of doing nothing, including going to the police, the reason they don't go to the police, by the way, is they're concerned that the police will know that they've been playing this game.
Yes, and
this game is not illegal,
and they'll implicate them. It's the caves. They're worried about the caves. And they think that if something is wrong with Robbie, they'll show them this map or whatever, and then the map will prove that they're...
Killers? I don't know.
They're so worried. So they come up with all these schemes. But then don't they just show it to them anyways?
Yes.
They just give it all up anyways.
Well, they put it on their the detective's car window. They anonymously leave him all these clues.
And the cops like, look, if Robbie's in the caves, he's dead. There's no question about it.
Which is true.
Is it?
If Robbie was gone, how long is Robbie
you mean
supposed
that
to be
long?
gone?
You mean that
yes.
long?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Hello?
I have a collect call from Robbie Wheeling. Will you accept the charges?
Yes. Robbie?
Hey, I'm in New York.
New York? Robbie, are you all right? What happened?
Oh, no, I can't remember.
Robbie is looking for the two towers, which they think is a Tolkien reference, but he is just wandering around the streets of 1982 New York, which is
the best time.
The one part of this movie I liked. Because
what a time a time to live in New York. Like, I know that it was way more dangerous, but man, all the freaking like paraphernalia, you know what I mean? Like the theaters and the griminess, like it's all that stuff that I wanted to experience when I was a kid for some strange reason.
Right, because you saw it in movies and they were like, this is New York.
Yeah. Hey kid, why don't you come? Well, I think probably because of the hip hop stuff too. I probably thought like, oh, I would love to go to Brooklyn and the Bronx. And I'm like,
sure, right.
I would have like crapped my pants if I was there, you know.
Nothing. I love seeing grimy on the fly 80s New York footage. Like that's the one thing I really liked about Jason Goes to Manhattan is it's just the dirtiest city in the world. It's the most unpleasant looking place.
You know, and I don't understand that. Like if my house looked like New York does, I would lose my mind. But when I go to New York and I'm in the subway and I see a rat walk by, I am thrilled. I am so excited. I'm like, hey, I'm in New York.
The old New York. Lou Reed, baby.
Andy Warhol. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I love it. Like, I love all the scuffs, the griminess, like.
Sure. Well, many people would agree with you. That's why they're saying that Toys R Us in Times Square was a bad move.
Yeah. I guess that's why I mean, I guess it's because I don't live there.
Bring back Sex World.
I mean, if I lived there, I'd probably be like, God, this city sucks. Yes. Why is it so dirty?
I'm so tired of being mugged and grimy all the time.
Oh, man.
Oh, speaking of mugged, Tom Hanks almost gets mugged and instead stabs a guy. Stabs a made-for-TV punk.
He thinks that... So he's still in illusion, he's still hallucinating, and so he kills this lizard monster.
Same thing as before. They did not get a new costume.
No, but which is really the street tough,
right?
And so he thinks he murders someone, and that kind of snaps him out of it a little bit. So he calls his friends to tell them, I think I murdered someone, and this is where the great crying scene happens.
Oh, I think this is the second best crying scene.
Okay.
But this is where things got more confusing for me, because before I was pretty clear. Everyone was announcing exactly who they were and what they were doing in every scene. This is where Tom Hanks, you think he has snapped out of his fantasy and he's back to reality. He knows his friends' names.
Right.
He's calling them for help. He thinks he's murdered a person. So the movie, he will conveniently go back and forth between being in his illusion until he's not.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because he's not even dressing like the characters, or like he still understands that he's in a real world.
Right. while this is going on, the mayor from Jaws shows up, and he is playing an investigator, and
William Deere, I assume.
Yeah, we assume he's playing William Deere. And I think this actor is a good actor, but he is also the most businessy actor you've ever seen. This guy never stops like poking his finger into bookshelves or stirring his coffee. The guy is in constant motion whenever he's on camera.
Well, if he stops moving, I know that.
He's like a shark. He learned it from Jaws. He can't stop moving.
Like when you're acting and you're just standing there and you don't know what to do. Like a good actor knows what to do with their hands. But if you don't know, then you'll do whatever you can do that won't look ridiculous, right?
So you think he's a terrible actor?
I don't think he's a terrible actor. I think he's just overcompensating.
I think he's an actor who loved business, and he had a director who didn't say, maybe cut back on that about half. Maybe the whole monologue does not have to be delivered to your coffee cup.
You don't have to unroll the toilet roll paper. There's not going to be anything in there. They get him to agree to meet them at JJ's house. They go there. He's not there. But we are treated to a side scene where JJ's mom has
redecorated his room.
But this time he likes it because it's all about Bridget Bardot and 40s Hollywood or whatever.
It's Casablanca themed.
Yeah, that's right.
It has Humphrey Bogart director chairs.
That's right.
And neon palm trees. And like old Moroccan chandeliers.
And he goes, I love it.
And he's brought the bird.
Yeah, the bird is back.
He's dragging this poor bird in a cage with him everywhere he goes.
Pardue, what are you doing? Going to join the Great Hall.
You can't. It's a trap.
I have spells. I'm going to fly.
So they figured out that really with the two towers and Hall is a reference to his brother. The two towers is a reference to World Trade Center. So they're rushing to get there because they think he might do something bad. He might try to kill himself to reunite with his brother Hall.
Right. This may be the worst day the World Trade Center will ever have when somebody jumps off.
Yeah.
So then we have a scene where it was a real screwball comedy where Tom Hanks goes up an escalator and they're downstairs looking for him. Then they go up the escalator and he goes down the escalator.
They are one step from looking out a door and then him looking out the other door, but the other way.
They are all in barrels and they all appear in different barrels when they go up and down.
Yeah, so
it's a slow yakety sax scene.
They finally get to the top. He's at the top, and he says he's gonna fly because he's got magic, and he's gonna jump and reunite, and that's how he'll get to the next level. And they save his life.
Then we get to the real goopy face crying scene.
Yeah, that is right.
He's in reality again, and his face melts.
That's right. Yeah, that's the Vanderbeek.
Yeah,
the meme. And so then they
fade to black.
And how long from this point to when we cut back in?
It is either 3 months later or 6 months later. I don't remember.
Okay. So it's later, and we're all kind of seeing what everyone's doing, right? Like, it's really just...
We're not shown, but we are told what everyone's doing because they're all in the car and they all announce, this is what I'm doing with my life now.
That's right. And so they're all going to hang out with Robbie. They're all going to see how he's doing. And you're kind of led, like, his mom is kind of acting like he's okay, he's been fine, everything's fine. And so then they go to see him. He's living at their mansion. And we find out, well, that's not true. He actually still believes he's Pardue, or whatever the guy's name is. And he thinks he's living at an inn, and that he pays the innkeeper every night with a magic coin that reappears every morning. And there's an enchanted lake with something sinister across the way.
And while he's delivering this long exposition, their reaction is to go, Robbie, Robbie.
You're still playing this game? Right,
they're really bummed out he's a schizophrenic.
Well, but they're still also holding out hope that he's just doing a bit still.
Like you think that's what they're doing?
Because he says like, "Oh, come on!" Like he's doing a bit on top of the bit, like he's backing.
Which means he was fine the entire time that they had like ushered him out of the World Trade Center, and that they were like taking care of him. That means that he was fine, and then months later relapsed.
No, I think what it means is they don't know. Like they haven't. They don't.
I'm saying in the timeline that the movie is telling us.
Well, like maybe they haven't seen him. Maybe he went off and they haven't seen him since.
So you think that day they sent him away and they haven't seen him since then?
I think so.
And they never checked in on the friend who they were pursuing.
That's what they're checking in now. That's what they're checking. This is it.
Let's wait a couple months.
Yeah, let him go through counseling.
Go cool off.
Yeah, and that. Well, anyways, so he's still the guy, and then Daniel. Everyone's still kind of like, come on, and Daniel's like, he decides just to play along.
Yeah.
And they play one, and she says, and then there's like a narrator, and it's the girl, and she says, and so we played the game one last time.
And I guess that's supposed to be bittersweet, right? Not heartwarming, right? It's not supposed to be heartwarming. It's supposed to be kind of a bummer.
We're supposed to feel bad and scared, but also think kindly of his friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, so...
And then we get a real treacly ballad that we have at the beginning, middle, and end of this movie called Friends in This World.
Friends, yeah, by Judith Lander.
Yeah. Who I do not know. Do you know her?
No, but
okay.
I'm interested. I like this song.
Do you genuinely like it?
I would not put it into a mix I'm going to give to someone. But I did like it in that it's just has a feel for that time period. It's nostalgic somehow.
Okay. Do you like that song Candle in the Water from Pete's Dragon? It is the ballad from Pete's Dragon. It sounds a lot like Friend in This World.
I used to play the songs from Pete Dragon on my saxophone.
Okay, well then you definitely.
I just don't remember which one that is. It's like is that it?
No, this is a
right?
classic like 70s ballad.
Yeah. Well, I'll look it up and then report back. We'll do a mini episode after this talking about that song.
And of course, getting into the career of Judith Lander, who is a lot of Canadians. This is a real dripping with Canada movie. A lot of slow maple syrup on this pancake.
You think it was filmed in Toronto or Ottawa or something? I don't know.
I know that a lot of the production company was Canadian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you a lot of it was filmed in Canada. It's much cheaper than filming here.
At the actual Pequot Caverns?
Yeah, they traveled. That nature formed over centuries out of paper mache.
Yeah, these caverns were great. They were absolutely... It was like when they went into the caverns, it turned into like a British TV show.
Yes, like a Puff and Stuff cavern.
Yeah. So yeah, what did you think overall? I think we both have said it. We had hoped for so much more.
Here's the thing I was really surprised by with this movie is I've seen Satanic Panic movies. I've seen like plenty of scare tactic teen movies. I felt you had to be in the headspace of already not liking Dungeons and Dragons to make the leap that the game is what made this kid have a mental break.
Right.
Because it seems more like his untreated issues made him have a mental break.
Right. And none of the other kids had any issues.
Yes,
with
that's
this game.
Right. It's like that's why I expected like, oh, JJ's going to get sick and Robbie's going to start turning and maybe like the other two's relationship is going to go bad. But right, it kind of like, wouldn't it speak to the game not being a problem that everyone else is totally unaffected?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. They did not convince me.
All I'm saying is the movie
Like,
fails on an entertainment
yes.
level, and it fails on the level that it's looking for, I think, which is to scare you away from
Yes.
these games.
Right, like, exactly. That's what I mean. Like watching, like I've watched all that stuff too. I've watched a bunch of documentaries, things about bad toys, and in those things, even though I 100% disagree, they do such a great job of making everything seem so sinister. And in this, it's just so lame and innocent. Like I'm not like this. There's nothing scary or dangerous or anything about this game at all.
Do you think part of that is, and I think the problem is the direction and the script, but do you also think there is a portion of it that Tom Hanks seems so innocent and is so famously likable that he doesn't seem to have that darker side to have that snap?
Well, the one thing they do is that he doesn't have a dark snap. Like, it's like very sweet and innocent. Like, it's about celibacy and he wants to be a holy man and he's really not supposed to, like, so it's not like
it turned him into a devout Christian.
I know. Like, he's like, I won't use this knife unless I have to. Like, he's like,
give everything to the poor.
So, like, it's not like there's nothing scary about it except that he accidentally, hallucinates. Like, he hallucinates. That's the only scary part about it.
Yes, right.
I think that maybe that Dungeons and Dragons scare was new enough that we didn't yet know how to make it seem dangerous. The scare, like not that Dungeons and Dragons was new, but that the fear around it was new.
Right. I feel like a lot of the stuff that they were afraid from Dungeons and Dragons is how Ouija boards were perceived.
Yeah.
Because that's always the old trope in like haunted house movies is they pull out the Ouija board and similar things happen as happened in this movie, kind of.
Yeah.
There's a great classic TV guide illustration ad for this movie. In the ad, it has kind of a Goonies style poster where they're all standing at the mouth of a cave with torches and their shadows are turning into monsters. How many disappointed kids? Yes. Oh. How disappointed would you have been as a child thinking this is a movie where people turn into monsters after playing this game, Jumanji style?
It is so awesome, that poster. Like, I wonder how many kids started playing Dungeons and Dragons after seeing this. Probably none. They're like, this game sucks.
It looks boring.
Who plays this dumb game? But you know what's interesting? Because I keep thinking about the Dungeons and Dragons TV show, the cartoon.
Oh yeah,
and it ran from 83 to 85. Like, what I love about this is it ran from 83 to 85 in like the height of like probably stuff going on with that bad organization.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
It's like they were like, oh, you want, like, let's double down on this. Like,
yeah, it was insanely popular.
Yeah. And this was this was a fun, interesting kind of show. The kids, where things are happening, but like, yeah, it was such a different, I love that where Hollywood and moral panics collide. Where they're like, it's almost like people are like, you know what, screw you, this stuff isn't bad, and here we'll full on just explore this thing you guys are upset about.
Well, do you know what network the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon was on?
Was it on CBS?
CBS, baby.
Yes.
It started running the year after they played this movie.
Right. So now what's
They
great
weren't
about
too worried about it.
Yeah, that's what's great. Yeah, that's another thing great about it. It's like this was supposed to be a parable about, or like a warning tale, and then the next year the guy's like, hey, maybe let's go back to that. Maybe it wasn't as bad as this movie is making it out to be.
One thing I did learn from this movie is that back when in New York, if you wanted to visit the World Trade Center, you could drive right up to the front doors. There's an easy parking space. The whole street's open.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just jump out of your car and run in.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to. There's no meter.
I couldn't believe how much people were driving. That's the other reason I think that most of this is filmed somewhere else. A lot of driving.
Yeah, I know. If you lived... Well, I mean, if you live outside of New York... do they even say it's New York, or we're just assuming?
Well, they say Twin Towers, so...
Right, so you don't even have to...
Right.
Yeah, so this college is on the outskirts of...
I think it's supposed to be in like upstate New York.
Right. How many times in the movie do you think... Okay, so we knew JJ. We thought JJ was going to kill himself.
Right.
Or something. But then also, remember, Daniel goes back to the cavern too. And you're meant to think something bad's going to happen to him too. But no, he was just cheating.
Yeah, he says he was looking for the treasure. He eats up a lot of screen time, though.
I know, because she gets lost in the cavern too, trying to find him.
Yeah, goes nowhere.
That is such a weird... Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's like 4 scripts to this movie.
I think this is my closing question, unless you have more stuff you wanted to get into. Do you have anything?
I mean, I could talk all night about Satanic Panic, but
I think we'll have plenty of opportunities to.
Yeah.
My last question is: Tom Hanks good in this?
I like him, except when he's crying.
Okay.
He's doing the Tom Hanks thing. He's being funny. He's being charming. He's acting like that opening when you first see him and he's with his mom and she's like, "Don't play the game." He's like, "All right, Mom." Like that's like that
is classic Hanks.
Yeah, it's like he's doing a great, he's doing Hanks, like he's doing his guy. So I do think he does good. I think he did not. He needed some acting classes for crying for sure.
I guess I agree with you. I don't know quite what more he could have done. This is a role that it's so crazy. There's no way that you can like elevate it, I guess.
Right. He can't do like a subtle crying and stuff. He has to scream and tear his eyes out.
Oh man, if they did multiple takes and the director said like, just go big, just for me, just like we'll do one, we're not going to use it, just like go big, and then I can go like we can take it down from there, and then they use that one where he looks like he's going through a seizure.
I think you nailed it when you said his face was melting. That really takes it. The people, other actors in the movie, like Chris Makepeace, that name is always so familiar, but when I look him up, he's only done like a couple movies. Like he's in Meatballs and but like
Wendy Crewson did tons of stuff.
Yes, she was the girl.
She plays the wife or the mom in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But she's in 24. She's in Air Force One. She's in a ton of TV work. Good for her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think we've pretty much sewn this up.
So does this get a don't watch from you? I would tell people don't bother, because I can't even think of like a highlight to show people.
I never say that. I never say don't watch something because I want everyone to experience all the stuff that we do. But but I would say no. Like I wouldn't say tell my dad, "Hey, you got to watch this movie." You know what I mean? But for someone who's into the stuff that we talk about on these shows, certainly.
If you're a fanatic completist, yes, I'd say do it. But if you're a casual viewer, no. I don't think this is enough fun bits. I don't think it has any fun bits in it, does it?
No, there's nothing. No, this movie is not worth. Like if Tom Hanks weren't in this movie.
Oh no! Well, Dungeons and Dragons people would care about it. But
yeah, but I wonder if. Yeah, I guess
if it would stick at all.
Because like whenever I heard about this movie, I only heard about it when someone brought it up because Tom Hanks was in it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess I did read about it from following Satanic Panic stuff. So if you're really into the Satanic Panic movement, certainly watch it for that. I guess this is a real minor chapter. In my opinion, but yeah, no, I'm not gonna. Like I said, I'm not gonna go to people at work and say, "Hey, you really should check this out." Yeah. Sorry, Mazes and Monsters. You get 0. What's gonna be our? You get 0 system? Netties. zero species. Sorry. We'll get back on that. 0 TV guides. Oh, does it get a jeers? A jeers, that's good. This is a jeers for sure. I'm gonna say it's a jeers. It's a jeers for me, Nathan. You know what I always thought when I was younger? I always thought, like when I was pursuing entertainment, like, or at least when I thought that I was going to, like do comedy and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I always thought my dad would only truly be proud of me if he read about me in the Cheers section of TV Guide. Or even the Jeers section. At least they're talking about me. Yeah, any publicity, right? Yeah. So yeah, this gets a real big fat jeers. Okay. All right, man. All right, special heads. You heard the man. He gets a big cheery. Oh, special heads. We are going with that from now on. Special heads. I love it. All right. I'm sorry I said it, and I am saying goodbye to everyone. See you later.
And so, we played the game again, for one last time. It didn't matter that there were no maps, or dice, or no monsters. Pardieu saw the monsters. We did not. We saw nothing but the death of hope and the loss of our friend. And so we played the game until the sun began to set and all the monsters were dead.